you ready? And welcome to the warm-up brought to you by Ford. We've got Steve Smith and Candace Parker in the building. Exciting night around the NBA. Hope you guys all had a great weekend. 7 games around the association tonight. Several that we're going to be watching with a very, very close eye, right? Some matchups that we're looking forward to seeing. Starting off with a late game in Los Angeles with the Lakers. LeBron James. Not quite sure if he'll play or not. Remember, he did not play in the last game because he had a cold. They ended up winning anyway without him. He is expected to play tonight. Anthony Davis, however, is still listed as questionable. Remember, he has that bruised tailbone. He missed the last 2 games. They certainly are wanting his near double-double back, but he, in fact, talked to his teammate after the game. We'll get to that in a second. Look at this. Fast starts. This is the first quarter in their last 2 games against the Dallas Mavericks and the OKC Thunder. You can see the fast starts are weighing heavy, meaning playing well for them. In the absence of their stars, it makes no difference. And I mentioned how Anthony Davis spoke with a teammate. He's out, but he's still active, at least on the broadcast. He caught up with his teammate Rajon Rondo after the game.
Rondo, it's a big win for you guys. For the second game in a row, you guys come out with a lot of energy, a lot of pace. What's to that?
Our defensive energy. Defensively, we came out, we got stops, we were able to get on a break, create mismatches, and get a quick pace going.
You came out very aggressive tonight.
You was out.
Scoring, getting your teammates involved. When Anthony Davis and LeBron James on the play, what's your mindset?
Well, that's about 75 shots total, so I divided it up. But Kuz was playing, so that's another 38 shots divided by that. Subtract 2. Just trying to be aggressive, like I said, get everybody involved. Regardless of who's in and out, we try to play together as a team and come out with the right mindset and get a win.
That was cute. I mean, he did a little tongue-in-cheek there with the math equations. Obviously, he understood what was at stake. When you have your superstars out, you've got to step up, and he did. He had season highs with his points and his rebounds. How important is it that they come back quickly, or do you think they have enough talent, the Lakers, to sustain the absences?
Well, the one thing I was impressed, those 2 games, we looked at the fast start for our points, but Candace, for me, you're missing 2 of the best defenders on their team. And look at what they gave up in that first quarter. I think one of them was just 19 points. Yes, they can score because they have guys that are capable and Rondo running the show, but not to have Anthony Davis, not to have LeBron James defensively, and what they did, allowing just 27 and 19 against OKC. Very, very impressed for me what they did on the defensive end. And then the offense, that means to tell you, get up 28 and 26 attempts and shoot that type of field goal percentage. Give Rondo, give that team, also give Kyle Kuzma a lot of credit.
Well, the advanced stats early on showed Rondo was not as successful on the floor without LeBron. And there were some questions with Kuzma as well as Rondo coming into that game. And I think sometimes, as an opposing team, it's hard to prepare for a team when your 2 superstars are out because you don't know where the ball's going to go. And then also, just in terms of Kuzma, this is a great time for him to get in the groove. There's been a lot of trade rumors going on about him, and we all know he can score the basketball. Well, now, he's valuable. He can put the ball in the hoop. But now when Anthony Davis and LeBron come back, they have to continue to share the ball with him because he has to be an important part of this team for them to go far in the playoffs.
I'm glad you brought him up, Candace, because how will that work? He needs touches, it appears, to score. Can they figure out a way to keep him engaged so that he can score points to help balance the load?
I think that's the big question mark, Candace. You were talking about he's a volume shooter, and he scores with volume touches. He might not take a lot of shots, but he needs to have it. The question for me for the Lakers brass is whether you start him or do you bring him off the bench? Which is better for them? Because he won't get as many touches with LeBron, with AD in the starting lineup, but you need him because you need that third score. So I'm looking at the Lakers, how they're going to play him in the second, when those 2 guys come back. And I think he'll be better fit playing with Rondo, who is trying to get him shots.
I agree with you, Smitty. I also would like to see LeBron and AD's minutes be reduced. I think that early on in the season, their minutes have been really high. And I think that getting off to a good start in the NBA is very important. But right now, you need to utilize some of your other talent because, hey, foul trouble, there's a game in a series where maybe one of them doesn't play. You definitely need that third scorer, that third option. And I think just the usage in terms of LeBron having something left for June, AD having something left for June. So Kuzma is going to be a valuable part of what they do. Been extremely impressed with him in his first 3 years and the way that he scores without the basketball. Well, now he's at a point now where he needs it.
All right. Well, you brought up a good point about LeBron and his usage. We have talked about it quite often here on the warm-up about his assists. A season for redemption. This is an 8-game win streak. It's not even the longest right now in the NBA. Utah has 9 that they've won in a row, but 8 is very impressive. You can see the points, the point differential. What jumps out to you guys to be one of the most important things?
Bench points for me. 44 points coming off the bench, that's huge. And they're going to need that, continue that with LeBron James and AD back together. But that's the one that jumps out for me.
For me, it's fast break. I think that that's a testament to the amount of defense that they're playing now. And I don't know any team in the league that wants to guard them in transition. When you've got LeBron coming at you, AD coming at you, and you have shooters around them, I mean, that's a nightmare.
All right, so we showed the interview where AD's talking to Rondo, right? So you both know, you played. Does that mean that he's getting closer to getting back to action because he's a little looser about being on the sideline? And how long can they be without him?
No, he was bored, in my opinion. I just think boredom, and then that's when you start to do other things. But I love that they're connected, though. And Rondo and AD has had this connection before they got to Los Angeles. It just tells you I haven't seen that side of Anthony Davis. So I was happy to see that part, him being engaged. And I think right now, I didn't see a smile on his face at all last year. Now seeing that smile again, I think he's in the right place.
Well, winning changes things, Smitty. I'll tell you that. It makes things better. But, I mean, just to see him do the interview, he was at last night's Green Bay Packers game. I mean, you're not going to a Green Bay Packers game unless you're kind of healed. So, to me,
it's cold
I think
outside, though. He's
it is
doing a little
cold.
cryotherapy.
Yeah, doing a little cryo.
It was
cold. Getting the new blood through. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's a luxury for the Lakers to have that cushion to be able to rest their superstar and make sure that he's healthy when he comes back.
Oof. We'll see. I mean, we've talked about it a lot. Everyone knows the Lakers are going to be good, but we've always talked about can they stay healthy with an older LeBron James and an injury-prone Anthony Davis. Only time will tell. All right, let's take a look at this poll question. We want you all to get involved here on the warm-up. Who is your favorite scorer in the NBA? Harden, LeBron, Giannis, or Doncic? Or comment with another player if you can make a case for it. Hit us up on Twitter at NBA TV. Get involved.
So we can add players to that?
Yeah, if you can make a case for it.
Okay, I like that.
I got Candace, you know, you're around the game. I'm a little old. You got to find out what this gray ball and medicine ball Derrick Rose does. He's a Chicago kid, too, so you got to find out for him.
I got it, okay.
Yeah, I'm putting that on you.
Sources.
Sources.
I mean, isn't it just a heavy ball? You never shot with a heavy ball?
Not gray.
Well, whatever he's doing is working.
That look like
he really putting up numbers.
That look like the beach
Not
ball
wins,
in my
but numbers.
swimming pool, but I got to find out. It's the new age stuff.
Denver hangs on to win at 114-104. They've won 6 of 9, jumped to second in the Western Conference now. The Clippers dropped to 7-6 over their last 13 games, and they are down to 5th in the West. And you look at their record against the top teams in the West with this loss to the Nuggets. You know, other than the Lakers, haven't really impressed at 5-4. And granted, some of those games are without George, some of them are without Kawhi. At least one against the Jazz was without both of those guys. But for the Clippers, 7-6 over a 13-game stretch. We're all looking at this team as a finals contender, as a championship contender. How much do these games matter in January?
Well, they don't really matter in January, but they matter. And I picked the Clippers to win it, at the beginning of the season. And I'm a little concerned right now because it seems that they're only focused on being better than the Lakers in LA and in the Western Conference. And what happens is they're worrying about what's visible to them. Kind of like a house on the outside, you see some paint chipped off, you say, okay, we can fix that, we can just paint over it. But in the meantime, what you can't see that's eating away at your undercarriage, dry rot, termites, things of that nature.
You really know house rot.
Yeah, and what happens is, when you find out where that problem is, then a lot of times it's too late, and it costs you a ton of money to get it fixed, and sometimes you can't get it fixed, and you have to replace the whole thing. And so for them, they talked about tonight, they're just not playing well or whatever. I mean, they didn't have Paul George, the Denver Nuggets didn't have Paul Millsap.
Yep.
At the end of the day, Kawhi still scored. So did Montrez and Lou Williams. But this team together haven't accomplished and haven't done anything yet. And so continuing to make excuses and not have these guys together, to me, is starting to be a cause for concern.
Doc Rivers said after the game they're just not in a rhythm right now, but he's not sweating it at this point.
Well, you better start sweating. You got 40 games to go. You played half the season. If we haven't found a rhythm yet, now you have 40 games to find a rhythm. The same amount of games you played that you couldn't find a rhythm, you're going to have to find a rhythm in that amount. So I think every game you got to go out there and try to win every single game and compete.
And, and at the end of the day, Utah, Denver, Houston, maybe the Mavs, those teams are pretty good teams. They have firepower. They have depth. And if you end up having to go to their home court to play in a playoff series, anything can happen.
These games do matter when it comes to home court and those tiebreakers.
For his team. And